Going for a 4-4-2.
He didn't know what was going on in the room.
Elias managed to refrain from swearing.
He said, if you've got a problem with me, let's sort it out in the gym.
He's actually playing with our lot. The thing is...
Oh, come on! Come on! Come on! Where has that come from?
Yeah.
They brought through the door. You know, you look at the...
What a performance, the guys...
That we ruled off quite a stupid thing, but
Live from South Space at the supporters club. Right.
But he was getting a bit tired, I thought.
Come on! There we go! Come on!
Come on! Yeah! Go!
Tottenham Hotspur will be looking to close the gap on West Ham and their other top four rivals when they head to the London Stadium on Sunday afternoon. It's an early kickoff, midday kickoff. Spurs have lost 4 of the last 5 Premier League matches, as many as in their previous 28 games, and entered this game 6 points behind West Ham with a game in hand to play. Welcome back to West Ham Irons United. I am, of course, Anton. I'm joined by Matt. Matt, Spurs mate. Spursy, how you feeling? Your cup final?
No, it's like I don't get this whole agenda of it's our cup final. It's a derby, yes, and we love a London derby, and obviously we want to beat them. And I don't get why they call it a cup final. Like, I really don't. Like, and the thing is, right? It's weird because it's always the Tottenham fans that go, "Oh yes, West Ham's cup final," but we never look at it like it's a London derby, and you want to win a London derby. Absolutely, you get the bragging rights, everything. But that's no different to any other derby. It's like we've just seen Everton come off a win against Liverpool. Massive, it's the first time I've won them in 22 years. But it's not their cup final. It's their biggest derby. But Tottenham aren't in a good run of form. They, Mourinho made the comments yesterday on Tottenham's official YouTube channel that, we won't be in the same position we are at the end of the season and Tottenham will be back above us. And it's like, yeah, possibly, but the pressure's still on them. I said this last week. There's no pressure on us now for any of these games because we're above expectations. Tottenham are the ones that are struggling. Mourinho's on, was it 15 million a year or something stupid I read the other day? He's getting paid. I think Moyes is on maybe $1 million.
Yep. He's
massively underachieving. They are massively underachieving this season, in fairness. With the squad they've got, the players they've got, they should be, especially with everyone else playing as poorly as they are this season, they should be a lot higher. Maybe they should be where we are, realistically.
Well, I'll tell you what, but before you go any further, it's time to talk the opposition, mate. Let's talk Tottenham. But this week, we thought we would be having a guest on, but unless he's delayed, we're actually just going to be myself and Matt. So we are expecting a guest to come on. There might be a slight delay, but we'll wait and see what happens as we go along. Matt, let's talk about Tottenham, mate, and Mourinho. I mean, come on, and I want people in the chat to get involved as well. Talk to me about Mourinho. What's going on with Tottenham?
I don't know if he's playing mind games. I said, have you seen this quote? I wish I'd screenshotted it. There's this quote. It's floating around on the social media and websites and stuff yesterday. He done an interview with the Tottenham club website, and he basically said that come the end of the season, the roles will be reversed and Tottenham will be higher. And he's like, "Oh, give credit to them now, but they're not good enough to finish there. They're not going to finish there." And it's like, we always say about you don't want to be saying stuff like this before a derby because it's like if I'm David Moyes now, I'm just whacking out on the change room and going, forget me giving you a prep talk, guys. Mourinho's just slagged you off and said you're not good enough and you should be down where they are and you will be by the end of the season. He is a very negative... Negative isn't right. He's pragmatic, much like David Moyes. And he built title-winning Chelsea teams off it. Build from the back, make yourself solid and go forward. Except he's doing it at Tottenham at the moment. And Tottenham, he's like debuilding, like deconstructing this team that Pochettino built that took them to a Champions League final. Pochettino built on young, hungry players that played good attacking football. They played out from the back, they pressed high, they had this brilliant passing play. And obviously they lost the final, and it was almost just like that was as high as he could take them, and they fell off after that. And they brought in Mourinho to, be like almost the top 4 equivalent of Big Sam, get himself back in. And it's just, for whatever reason, it's not working out at the moment. I know they've got some injuries.
I'll tell you what, though, Matt, before you go any further, let's bring on our guest. And like we said, it's time to talk Spurs. So I'm going to introduce Toby. Toby, thank you very much for coming on, mate. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, man. Guys, I'm so sorry. I thought you said 8 o'clock. I thought you said 8:15. I didn't realize you said 8 o'clock.
Don't worry, mate.
Yeah.
It's good, mate. How you doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. How you doing?
Well, yeah, we're good. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us, mate. Well, listen, we're talking about your club, so it's always good to get your voice. You watch your club week in and week out. The goings-ons, taking away the documentary that was highly, put out on the TV. You still know what's going on. So we're talking about Mourinho. I mean, talk to me, Toby, and let us know about what's happening at the club, etc.
Well, yeah, it's similar to last season under Pochettino when things were bad with him. Only unfortunately for us, Mourinho is going to get more of a grace period than Pochettino did. I feel like there's not one person to blame. There's not a couple players to blame. There's a whole sort of, as I said, snowball effect. So let me start off at the top. So Enoch, they have steered us relatively well over their ownership during the last sort of like 20 years period. But in the last like 4 or 5 years, it's fair to say that they've not put their money where their mouth is on the pitch, and they've prioritized the surrounding infrastructure as opposed to improving the quality on the pitch. And I feel like that has caught up to us in recent seasons. That's what you saw towards the end of the season when we got to the Champions League final. That's what you saw last season, and I still think you're seeing a continuation of that this season as well. Because when you look at our team, there are still glaring positions that need to be fixed. We've not replaced Eriksen. We sold him last January. We've not had a top centre-back since prime Alderweireld and Jan Vertonghen. Alderweireld is now 31, going 32 years old, and he's still having to be the best centre-back in our team, which just tells you everything you need to know. The right wing position, short-term fixes, not long-term fixes. Too many reactive signings and not proactive signings, but that's just at board level. You then have to look at the players. Several players have stagnated. Lucas Moura in the last 18 months, he's completely fell off a cliff in terms of form and consistency. We don't know what's happened to him. He's 28 years old. He's meant to be in the prime years of his career, and he's fell off a cliff. And unfortunately for us, too many players have completely lost themselves in terms of their ability to play well or be relied upon. Harry Winks, he's someone that can no longer be depended on. Davison Sanchez, no longer someone that can be depended on. Eric Dyer, he's been poor for years. Ben Davies, poor. Eric Lamela, he should have been sold years ago and he's still at the club. We have so many rotten pieces in our club and they are literally weighing us down. So some of the incremental progress that you've seen over the last 2-year period, i.e. signing Ndombele, signing Lo Celso, signing Reguilon, signing Højbjerg, it's always going to be weighed down by the dross that we have, by the mediocrity that we still have in that team. And that's why you see this inconsistent side week in, week out. And then, so that's the players, board level, and then we have to get onto the manager. I see a lot of people saying, oh yes, how can Spurs fans get on Jose Mourinho? He's working with a dead squad, etc., etc. Yeah, I get it. The squad is admittedly not as good as we thought it was. I will admit that. The squad's not as good as we thought it was. The squad's not good enough to get top 4. I'll tell you that for free. Even with Kane and Son, the squad, man for man, it's not good enough to get top 4. But when you have a manager that can't make the best out of a bad situation, that can't maximize on every single player that he has at his disposal, that's only going to exasperate the issue. A lot of people are saying, give Jose Mourinho till the summer, let him get his own players. I don't want that. We need a rebuild. We need to ship out pretty much half our team within the next 2-3 year period. And I don't trust him to be the man to come in, oversee that big change in our team, oversee the new players coming in, integrate them into the team, and actually get us playing a sustainable brand of football. It's not just attractive football, it's sustainable.
That's mad though to think, isn't it? When you when you actually think that you've got a club now that we as outsiders have saw, grow, try to compete, get to the Champions League final, etc., etc. Now you're going to find yourself in a situation that you've got a lot of dead wood, Toby, and that dead wood, like you said, is bearing so much pressure onto the Tottenham side that it's now, this season, what's going on? Is it a mixture of everything that's there? Is it?
Yep, yeah. It's a mixture. It's a mixture. We needed everyone in their aunt could have told you we needed a top centre back in the summer. We didn't get one. Man City needed a top centre back. They got one, and look at the impact it's had on their team. Do you get what I'm saying? Arsenal needed a centre back. They got one in the summer, and yes, they're still bad, but look at the impact Gabriel had on their team. We got Joe Rodon, who, no disrespect, I like him. I think he's a decent player, but he's very much a centre back who is part of the squad. We didn't need another part of the squad centre back. We needed a leading centre back to come and take the reins and actually put some authority down on this defense, and we didn't have that. So, as I said, the issue is then compounded by Jose Mourinho, who just can't. To put it blunt, to be as blunt as possible, as elite as he used to be, as a winner as he used to be. Yeah, he's a man who takes lemons and turns it into piss. He's not a man who will take lemon and turn it into lemonade. That's not his MO. It's never been his MO. He needs ready-made final product players. Is that then, when you think about, for example, the Bale signing, was that the kind of Messiah coming home, but was that what you actually needed as a club? I think in the short term, I think it was what we needed. It was a bit of both. Of course, you have the commercial side to it, and to appease the fans with Daniel Levy bringing back a fan favorite to mask the unrest that was occurring amongst the fan base in the months prior, where we saw a lack of investment under Pochettino and even a lack of investment from Mourinho in the January transfer window, getting rid of Eriksen. Yes, we brought in Steven Bergwijn, but we lost the signature of Bruno Fernandes, etc., etc. So I think with us now, we just have to be realistic and we have to be hard and look at the issues with our team. And when we look at the issues of our team, Jose Mourinho is one of those issues. As bad as some parts of our squad is, man for man, it's arguably better than Leicester's. It's better than Everton's. And no disrespect to you lot, but it's better than yours. Man for man, it's better than yours. If I gave you our squad or your squad, yes, of course you would take some players from your squad, put them in ours, but on the whole, you would definitely say our squad's better.
Do you think then, and Toby, the question I'll ask then on the basis of that, do you think that could be the problem, that you're looking at individuals rather, not you, but Mourinho and Spurs are looking at individuals rather than the team? So I'll give you my impression of, when I think of what Moyes is doing at the club, he's changed most West Ham's mindsets in terms of he's going out and bringing and building an actual team. So you can bring in a player like Craig Dawson from absolutely out of nowhere and turn him into something that most clubs are looking at going, that's what we need. You can look at a player that's struggling with his career like Lingard, and then you look at David Moyes' history of bringing players on, Arnautovic, Jared Bowen, and now we're looking at potentially going the rest of the season without that number 9, but we're playing with false 9s. But we've got options because Moyes is starting to look at,
exactly.
We were so used to just signing at one point recently we were like £30 million. Oh, great! I'm happy we've signed a £30 million striker, £40 million striker. But in actual fact, we don't need to spend that amount of money. We need to build the side, and that's where he's changed my mindset in terms of a West Ham fan. And it's a little bit like because people are in the comments here asking, and we've not had I love the passion you've got, Toby, with regards to it. And the big question I suppose I want to ask is the Pochettino thing. Why was that the answer, and you just chucked it away?
Yeah. A lot of people call me a Poch sexual, etc., etc. I don't care. I really don't care. It's not to absolve Pochettino of any blame, because the position we were in before he got sacked, he was underperforming at his job. So before anyone watches this or listens to this and thinks, oh, this guy just wants to protect Pochettino, I will tell you for free, he was underperforming at his job. And it wasn't just that season, it was the season before that, because the run in the Champions League masked what we saw in the league. We couldn't keep clean sheets. The team setup was wrong. Weird substitutions. I remember one game we went to Leicester and I travelled up there. I get to the King Power and I see Ali's not even in the squad. and then we're chasing the game 2-1 down, and this guy brings on Lucas Moura in like the 89th minute, expecting the game to change. Dumb things like that. His approach against Liverpool and Anfield, Pochettino was fundamentally performing at his job. But what Poch had was credit in the bank and experience when it came to ripping out the deadwood in our team and turning it into a team capable of competing. Because that's what he did when he first came in. He got rid of Adebayor. He got rid of Mason eventually. He got rid of Chadley. He got rid of Soldado. He got rid of Kabul. He got rid of Capu. He got rid of Paulinho. Clean house. And it wasn't just an overnight thing. He did it gradually. And for me, Poch was screaming a year and a half prior to his sacking that we need a rebuild. He said there's no point having, there's no point having a shiny house if you can't put nice things in it or something like that. And he was referring to the stadium. He was screaming for this. And now what we've done is we're potentially in a position where we're giving a potential rebuild in the hands of a manager who's never been a rebuild manager. He's a manager who comes in, he adds his sprinkle of magic, he gets every single target he wants, and he wins you the league or whatnot. Or better yet, he used to. He is not that good a manager anymore. One, we are not the club that are going to spend money. Two, and his style of play, his preferred style of play is not capable of getting us results week in, week out. So we're in a big situation now whereby we've got this guy locked in on £50 million a year. We're not the type of club who are going to spend and get every single one of these targets. And fundamentally, he's not the type of manager who's all of a sudden going to change his ways and be that manager who can oversee this massive rebuild and be that manager who can balance defenses and attack to the good extent that he was doing at the start of the season. So yeah, I don't understand. For me personally, I don't understand where fellow Spurs fans think we're going to go with Jose Mourinho, irrespective of whether we change the players. It was a marriage of convenience that shouldn't have happened, and it's never going to end positively for me.
Well, you've got thinking about this season in particular, and last time out when we faced each other, you were cruising in the game, absolutely cruising. You had even more chances in the first half. You could have been further ahead. Then obviously West Ham came back from absolutely nowhere. I mean, I know there's this ongoing joke about this game being the cup final and all that sort of stuff, but I think any club with 8 minutes to go being that far back and then getting the result at the end of the game would have celebrated in the manner that we did. But when it comes to the game tomorrow, I mean, how are you feeling? I mean, they're 6 points behind West Ham, and loads of people in the comments are going, my word, like, it's not just West Ham fans that are moaning. It's Tottenham fans. It's it's happening elsewhere. But how are you feeling, and how do you think Tottenham are feeling about the game against West Ham tomorrow? David Moyes, he's producing results. He's pushed West Ham. We're punching, but we're deservedly punching. We're working hard. We've got a good team ethic. But what do you think? What's your thoughts?
I think Spurs fans are looking at it. You're not going to really find many sort of confident Spurs fans. Not confident in the sense that we can't beat West Ham, because we beat you last season at your ground, but more a case of confidence. Where do we draw our confidence from? Because we've lost like 5 of our last 6 matches across all competitions. We are in a rut, and our away form in the last 2-3 months has been absolutely pathetic. I think we've won one away game in the league in like our last 4 or 5 matches, and that one away win was against Sheffield United. And then by contrast, you've rectified your home form to a certain extent. I think you've got like the fourth best home record in the league right now. And like you said, whatever the system, whatever the players that are coming in and out of your team, even with the injuries you have, Moisey is finding a way to get the best or get something out of the players that you have at your disposal. So it's a tough match to get into. And I think you've only lost like once in 2021. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
no, you're right, mate. Yeah.
So literally the form guy tells you that this is not going to be an easy game for us. And then you got to add to the fact that, I mean, we make jokes about it. It's West Ham's cup final, but you lot raise your game against us. I think that's fair to say. You raise. I've seen West Ham in such bad form, and out of nothing, you raise your game against us. I remember when we first moved into the new stadium, we were the ones in the Champions League, etc., etc. You come to our ground, you weren't even playing that well, and Antonio latches onto that part, slaps it in 1-0, and we lose the game, and we deservedly lose the game as well. So
We
It's
do
not
have we do though, Matt. We do have an history of turning up. And I get the comment, but it's not just against kind of Tottenham.
It's the
When
big
West
teams,
Ham
isn't it?
aren't when West Ham aren't on form, we've got a history of turning up to clubs when no one expects it and just putting a performance in there. There's no ifs or buts about it. London derbies absolutely have the fire in the belly. Spurs like beating West Ham. West Ham like beating Spurs. I've got good memories of it. Toby, you'll have good memories of all the games that you've been to, etc. But it does. Matt, come on, what are you going to say about that?
I was going to say we have this thing, don't we? It's not just Tottenham. It's like, should we say, the quote unquote big six? Like, barring say Man City, we could turn up at any of the big six teams being absolutely awful form, and if for no apparent reason turn up and play well. Like you said, the London derbies as well. But it's the difference this year is that Moyes has got us playing in the lower games. But 100%, we're not Mark Noble's still in that team, and he'll know. Much like some of the Tottenham players, what the derby means. It's probably our biggest London derby. I suppose that's what you might say. So trying to call it a cup final is that this is the one that matters to the fans the most. But yeah, we do 100% raise our game. But to be fair, this year we've raised our game most of the season, so I don't see how we're going to raise it much more than we already have.
The only thing I'll say when it comes to West Ham in particular this season, Toby, is yes, we've raised our game and we're pushing up. However, what we're seeing is some of the old decisions that Moyes is making. So, I've just finished watching the Liverpool game and I've seen Everton take the game to Liverpool, walk out 2-0 victors, 3 points on the table. West Ham turn up against Liverpool, sit back, and we respect them too much. And that's where I fear, we've come off that game against Liverpool. We've then entered the next game against Fulham and we've drew 0-0 when they were there for the taking. We've turned up against Sheffield United, and you can't help but feel like maybe there's another decision to come in with Moyes. Is he going to change it all up, shake it all up? Because what we're getting is it's not a bad inconsistency, but we don't really know what team to expect week in and week out right now under Moyes. And that's the thing that we could throw the spanner in the works. But when it comes to Harry Kane, you've played a game midweek. Was he rested? I mean, you see the information put out on the media. Don't know what to believe. I mean, what was the situation? Yeah,
he was rested. He was fine. There was no issues with Kane. I think we did the right thing by not taking him to Austria, and we have him fit and fired. And I don't need to tell you his record. Win, lose, draw. This guy loves scoring against West Ham. He's been doing it since he broke onto the scene.
Yeah, he did.
And I think that the likes of him, Son, and a few others are the reason why I actually think we're going to edge this game, because we have to win. Jose Mourinho knows it. The squad know it. We have to win. And I don't mean we go there and play a tepid game of football. We have to go there and we have to take the game to you, because it's going to sound arrogant. I'm probably going to get some pelters in the comments. But
Go for it, mate.
Let's be real. Let's be real. Our midfield and our attack versus your midfield and our attack. There's one winner. If we can make the game a shootout, which I'm hoping we can do, if we can make the game a shootout, we come out on top. We're probably going to concede 2 or 3 goals, whatever. But that's the consequence. That's the consequence, and that's the risk we're going to have to take, because whether we sit back or whether we attack, we are going to concede tomorrow. I'll bet you. I'll put my life on it. We're going to concede tomorrow. We're vulnerable from set pieces, and our defense is shocking anyway. We got no Reguilon in the team. Aurier, who's been our best right back, he's been out injured, and our centre backs are just a mess right now, complete mess. So we're going to concede tomorrow, no matter how we play. So I want to see us go there and take the game to the opposition and maximize on our strengths. I want to see Ndombele on the ball. I want to see Harry Kane get the ball in the final third. I want to see Son be allowed to literally drive at the opposition. I want to see some fluidity in our play, because if we play to our capability, we come out there with 3 points. We do. It's that simple for me.
Toby, when you look at the, in particular when you're talking there about the midfield, think about Rice and Souček. Talk to me from an outsider's point of view, looking into these two guys. These two guys, questionably the best partnership in the midfield, potentially, in the Premier League as it currently stands, with week in and week out performances, solidifying, any threat coming through from the attackers, but also the ability to get forward. Souček stepped up with 8 goals from a defensive midfielder. He's getting himself forward. He's putting himself in and around the box, causing the problems. What do you think of that partnership? And do you fear that? I mean, when it comes to West Ham, Who do you fear? You've got players like Antonio. The rumor is that he's back. Well, he is training. He's back training, and Moyes is potentially, maybe I'm going to unleash him again tomorrow. We don't know if he's going to start. Myself and Matt will talk through that in a minute. But who is it you fear in the West Ham team, and what is it you fear about the West Ham of now?
Set pieces is what I fear. Set pieces is what I fear big time. And Souček and Antonio are prime suspects. I just fear Antonio in general, not just set pieces. I feel like he is going to dominate both our centre backs. And again, Souček, I fear his presence in the box when it comes to set pieces as well. And Declan Rice as well. For me, him and Højbjerg have been two of the best defensive midfielders this season. Souček there as well, but I feel, again, I'm gonna get pelters, but I feel like Højbjerg has been better than him this season. And I like Declan Rice. I really like Declan Rice, but I feel like Højbjerg has been non-stop this season, with the exception of the last 2 matches. But if you ask me who I fear from that team, I fear Antonio a lot, because I think he's going to destroy whoever he's up against in a 1v1 matchup. I fear Souček on the set pieces. I fear who's you got on the right hand side? I fear Jared Bowen if he starts, because I think he will destroy Ben Davies. Ben Davies is a terrible left back. And then I fear Jesse Lingard against potentially tired legs, because we've seen, I'm not sure if you watched the Man City game, but you saw a couple tired legs in the second half after playing 120 minutes. And I fear that Jesse Lingard's energy and sort of vibrant approach, I feel like that's going to be something that Højbjerg is going to need to snuff out. But I have faith in Højbjerg. I have faith in Harry Kane. I have faith in Son Heung-min. It's not going to be an easy game at all. We're not going to stroll it. We're going to concede goals. We might even go down 1-0. But I think ultimately,
you've got enough there in the tank.
We've got enough in the tank to win this game. And I've put my
before you hit me with your predictions, I'm going to bring up before you give me your predictions, the Tottenham side last time out. What changes do we expect to see from that side that you put out last time in the Premier League?
So this was against West Brom. So Dyer will probably come out of the team. He played midweek. I think I can't remember who it was. It was Dyer and potentially Alderweireld. I can't even remember. But unfortunately, Davinson Sanchez might start. Big. That's a big unfortunately, because Antonio's going to destroy him, and Sanchez has been terrible this season. Ndombele and Højbjerg will start in midfield. Tanganga will play right back because Aurier is injured. Ben Davies, unfortunately, will play left back because Reguilon's injured. That's a big blow, by the way. But I think the change you're going to see is across the front three. Unfortunately, Lamela might start because he came on as a substitute, and he's so. Are we allowed to swear on this?
Yeah, you can, mate.
He's fucking awful. Lamela is an absolute piece of shit. He's rubbish. But unfortunately, he might have to start in the number 10 position, which is what I'm going to hate. But I feel like if he doesn't start, then Dele, inconsistent, yes, probably needs to be moved on, yes, but he's one of the better players in our team, so I'm hoping he might start. And then on the right-hand side, it's obvious. Gareth Bale, I think he will start. He's been awful all season, but he looks like he's threatening to come into a tiny, wincy bit of form.
Yeah.
So you want to play your form players. And the problem with us is because all our right wingers have been shit this season, all it takes is literally one person to put together 2 decent performances, even if it's against half-time electricians from Austria or whatever it's called. And that's it for you. And that's Gareth Bale. He came on against Man City. He looked decent. And then he was one of our best players against the worst ranked team in the Europa League that we played on Thursday. So those 2 changes you might see is Ali and Bale coming for Lamela and in fact Lamora. I call them Lamora. They don't even deserve their first and second. Lamora.
No, cool, mate. Listen, Matt, before we ask for Toby's predictions, anything you want to kind of put across?
Yeah, I mean, I think when he just mentioned Lamela, and it's a really strange one. I think he came in from Roma, but he just how they haven't shipped him out already. They brought him in to replace Bale how many years ago, and then they brought Bale back to replace him. Like the guy, I don't understand who he's like. He's like stealing a living at Tottenham. He's a decent footballer, but he's not cut out for the Premier League. I think Son and Kane, we know, is going to will cause us a lot of problems tomorrow. Like, admittedly, their front three against our front three. If you go Son, Bale, and Kane, it does. To be fair, that front three, if you could actually get firing Bale, would be one of the best front threes in the league. It's just Mourinho can't seem to get a tune out of them. They're very inconsistent. They should be higher. Well, it's their defence that lets them down, which is considering that Mourinho's whole thing is that he's supposed to build from the back and be defensive. He stifles the team. Like, for me, if I was the Tottenham manager, I'd be like, you know what, we tried the defensive stuff, it's not worked. Put on all the best attacking players and just outscore teams because they've got the firepower to do it. This Mourinho thing of trying to sit back and defend and shut teams out, they can't do it. They can't defend. So forget the defending, just go all out attack and score goals instead.
Yep. Absolutely. Toby, I mean, I think everyone in the chats love having you on, mate. The passion, all that sort of stuff. It's great, mate. It's really good to see. I'll kind of come to your prediction in a minute. Normally, I wish any fan that comes on here all the best after the game tomorrow. But for a good old London rivalry, mate, I can't do it. I just can't do it.
Never. I wish you the worst of luck too.
But listen, what's your prediction for tomorrow?
Yeah, I think it's going to end 3-2, man. As I told you, I don't think we're going to keep
West
it.
Ham, of course.
No, 3-2 to Spurs. I feel like our better players will step up. They've had more rest this week in comparison to the last 3-4 weeks. Son got taken off at halftime. Harry Kane didn't play at all. Toby only had to play the last 15-20 minutes. And Ndombele only had to play the last 15-20 minutes. So as far as I'm concerned, those are our 4 key players for this game. So I reckon they will have a greater influence on the outcome of Sunday's match. Of course, you lot are going to make it a game. It's not going to be a stroll in the park, but I think we edge it 3-2.
Well, listen, Toby, mate, thank you so much for coming onto the channel. Like I said, not all the best for the rest of the season. And I hope you enjoy your cup final tomorrow, mate, because we certainly will.
Cup final. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Take it easy. Thanks, mate.
Yeah. Later. Bye.
Yeah, really cool, mate. Get your comments in. Let us know your thoughts on having Toby on. Yeah, interesting, Matt, innit? Really cool.
He's a top bloke, to be fair, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He's top bloke. He's cold and he's had a laugh. Very knowledgeable. It's actually really good insight. I think one of the comments said earlier that, it's strange that we all live in a West Ham bubble, don't we? And it's the way he's come on talking about it is like, if we took out this season, we go back to last season, that's almost like what we were saying. There's a lot of deadwood, problems at the top, not spending money, bringing in the wrong manager. It's an interesting one. Like, you don't really think, I suppose, outside your own team, but he made some really solid points as well. I mean, they have got a lot of deadwood in their team. They are going to be leggy. They played, obviously, in Europe on Thursday. I mean, they did play, like I said, like a bunch of electricians and farmers, but he took a lot of the first team players. And, I was looking at some of that team thinking a lot of them players won't be playing, but he just mentioned they're missing the fullbacks. Both them fullbacks played at the weekend, on Thursday, that look like they're going to be playing. I think one of the centre-backs played. They rested only a couple of players, and he said they looked leggy against Tottenham after 90 minutes. Well, they played 90 minutes on Thursday. So, I mean, he's gone for the score that was the last 2 results at the London Stadium, which was 3-2 at Tottenham. So, it's got form on it. It's going to be I said on Jake's show the other day, I think it's going to be a tight game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of goals in it because it's 2 pragmatic defensive managers. Probably shoot my head now. Probably will be like, another 3-3 or something. I said it'd be a 1-0.
You listen, mate. Keep your predictions till after. We're not at the predictions part yet. The one thing that I usually do week in and week out is do what the gaffer has had to say. Now, I have done it. However, I forgot to upload the images. And I'm really annoyed with myself for doing it. I've been under so much pressure today, doing so much stuff in the house with the family. I've literally put myself under pressure. But do you know what? It wouldn't be a preview if I didn't do the video. Now, I can't give you the pictures, but what I can do is tell you what he said. So here we go. When he was asked about the team news, David Moyes did say Antonio has a good chance for Sunday because he's had a few days of training. We're always careful with Mick because we want to make sure he's right. But he was close for the last game. He's been doing more work on the training pitch and we'll know more tomorrow. What do you take from that, Matt?
I said the other week, I think he's going to be out for a bit. I don't think he'll play. I think it's still just. I think he's probably got another week, maybe another 2 weeks before he's fit.
Really?
I think you've maybe seen him on the bench like that, might trying to appease him, but like the club can't afford to admit they made a mistake of not bringing anyone in January, and then 7 days later, Antonio went down injured. They can't come out and admit, guys, we made a mistake. We didn't bring anyone in. We're going to rely on Antonio, and like a week later, he's injured.
Yeah.
So, and like we said, was it the cup game, and he didn't play. And I said, look, he'll turn around and say he won't play the cup games, couldn't risk him. Sheffield United, he'll fail a fitness test. Lo and behold, Sheffield United, he failed a fitness test. And today, he's trained a couple of days, but we've got to look after him.
Yeah.
I said this on Jake's show. If he's not 100% fit, just don't even bother. Like, I'm sorry, just don't. Because there's no point to be playing a 50% fit Mikel Antonio, starting him like we did in that Villa game back in October, November, whenever it was.
Yeah.
Brought him back straight away, played 45 minutes with injured again for like another 2 months.
I genuinely believe when it comes to him, and the basis of what he's saying, as well as the fact that what impact he may drive to the Tottenham squad, I don't doubt for a second that he's not going to be on the bench at all tomorrow. I think he will be on the bench tomorrow. And whether or not Moyes uses him, a different ball game, but I do think he'll be on the bench because he is in training, so therefore he isn't injured. It's just his fitness level. So I don't think we'll see him play, because I think what Moyes will do is see what we've got out there and what the team can do based upon what's been happening in the last couple of games. But we'll talk about team selection in a minute. Moyes has been talking about what a victory against Tottenham this Sunday could do for his team, and he's saying it'd be really significant if we could beat them because it would push us on in our position. We're new kids on the blocks in this, so we're trying to challenge and hang in there. We're challenging every game. We might not win every game, but we're trying to make our mark in them, and then most of the games we've had a chance, and that's what he's saying. I get the vibe of what Moyes is saying. He's saying that we are keeping ourselves in there, and that's why when you look back at the Fulham game and you think that was 1 point, maybe 2 points lost, but when you look at the Brighton game, that was 1 point and that was 2 points lost. Southampton game, that was 1 point but 2 points lost, but he's keeping us in there and he's grinding out results, mate. And yes, we have a disappointing result against Liverpool, and yes, we have a disappointing result against Newcastle, but he's keeping us in there, mate, and in and around, being able to say with 14 games to go that we're in and around there, and it's new to us.
Well, I'm going to say something. It might be controversial. Might get one rolled out. But you just said it's 2 points off, but he got us a point, right? And we've sat here plenty of times this season and gone, in those games we've got a point. That's a game previously we'd have lost. And if Pochettino had half the amount of pragmatism that Mourinho had, sorry, not Pochettino, Pellegrini, he'd still be in the job. If Pellegrini had half the amount of pragmatism of Moyes, he'd still have a job. Pellegrini went into every game going, we've got to win, we've got to put all out attack.
Yeah.
Moyes makes sure that you're still in the game. Whether you attack or not, and sometimes, look, we've all said he's got it wrong. He does it every 7-8 games, doesn't he? He picks a team that's an absolute shocker and he gets it wrong. But on the whole, he makes sure that... Oh, thought that
there
was.
Goes his keys.
On the whole, he makes sure that we're still in the game. That is Moyes' thing, isn't it? That's why he's done so well at Everton, but it's also why he'll never be a top manager. It's why he'll never be a Champions League manager. It's why he didn't work at Man United. Because Man United don't want to be, we're still in the game with 20 minutes to go, we can go and win it. Or we can sit back, absorb and counter. But for a lesser, quote, Big Six team, a team that's not in the Big Six, in the Premier League, it's a fantastic way of working. And he's proven it this year.
Yeah.
It does work.
Let me move on. What he was talking about Jared Bowen next. Part of your job as a coach is to find solutions within your squad. Jared played well there in midweek and played at centre forward for Hull City as a lot as well. So it wasn't new for him. You need that flexibility in the squad. Is this our new forward man? I mean, Matt, me and you done the first half in particular, and I couldn't 100% pick out that Bowen was our forward man. I picked out between Lingard and Bowen. They were constantly, at one point, Bowen was right wing, left wing, up top, and Lingard was doing exactly the same. But the thing is, he's now highlighting the fact that this is an option. What's your thoughts on this option?
I thought in the game, it was supposed to be like a front three. Like I said before the game, that they'd all interlink and swap round. I don't think Lanzini done it well enough. And I think if anyone, but... It was me, Stell, and Rich on the preview, like on the kickoff before the game, and I went, Lingard's playing up front, and Stell went, no, it's Bowen, and I think Rich went, it's Lanzini. You couldn't tell, and we did say with this false number 9, it's almost like we're just not playing with a centre forward. Oh, it's not false number 9. It's just we're playing 3 very high attacking midfielders and letting them swap around and do it. Which, in some ways, if you're playing the ball on the floor, it works because you keep possession. Yeah. If we start playing long ball, you're going to be in trouble because then one of them he's going to have to go, I'll go play up front. And it's not going to work. But if they were to change and play round, it gives you option. You don't need to say who's playing up front. You can go, I've got a front 3. Bo's going to sit in the middle for a bit, but then he might get a bit leggy and Lingard will take over. And then, I don't know, is it Lanzini, Benrahma, whoever, they can take over. You can swap them around, rotate them. It makes it harder to mark.
There was a comment just there 2 seconds ago, the one about hope he doesn't go and play for a point against Spurs. Would you look at the game we played earlier in the season as Moyes going out playing for a point and it backfired? That's the problem. This is my concern against. I think it's about people are saying about respecting the opposition. When it comes to Tottenham, for me, they're there for the taking. Vice versa, though, I think West Ham are always there for. I think we're capable of always being there for the taking. But when you're talking about Tottenham, what recent weeks and performances, what is it? 4? They've lost 4 in the last 5 Premier League games. They're struggling for form. You've just had Toby on, dissecting the whole issues that have gone wrong with Tottenham, and you think there's a time to go at them. It's this particular game. Do you? First question to you, Matt, is: do you think that Moyes played for a point in the last game, and do you think he'll go out and try and think and play for a point in this game?
The game back at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I don't know what it's actually called. I think it's
that's the comment there from English Hardy.
He 100% did for the first game. He went, but in fairness, there's entirely different context to this game in the first game. First game, Tottenham were flying. They were near the top of the table. They were winning. They were playing well, and Moyes was like, they were informed. They're the form team in the league. We need to sit back. We need to contain. We need to not play as poorly. So he did put 5 at the bag. I just hope this time that he's done his due diligence, should we say, because the last game, obviously at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I think the last 2 games at the London Stadium, we've been 3-0 down, 2-0 down, 2-0 down. I think we've been 3-0 down in all 3 games. And 2 of them we pulled back to 3-2 and then just couldn't get over the line in the last minute. And the one at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, we pulled it back to 3-3. So it shows you, if you have a go at that team, like Toby said, they can't defend. The defense is awful. The fact that he's sitting there saying they're worried about Antonio, who we always joke is not a centre forward, and he's like, he's going to tear him apart. He sat there and said Ben Davies is going to get run around by Joe Bowen. They can't defend. They can't defend set pieces. They can't defend. Tottenham's thing is they need to attack you. That's why Mourinho's getting slated, because he's playing like 5 at the back, 2 holding midfielders, and they're still conceding goals. And if we turn up and sit back as well, then they're going to attack you. You're going to invite pressure. We need to go, not gung ho, but we need to have an attacking intent on the pitch. Otherwise, we could be 3-0 down again, and then Moyes tries to change it around and chase it. Yeah,
of course, mate. No, I get that completely. If you are watching the channel and you're new here, do me a favour, go and hit that subscribe button. And if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. If you don't like what you see, don't hit the subscribe button. There's a bell notification beside the subscribe button. If you click that bell notification, you'll be notified for any of our shows we've got coming up in the next few days. Of course, leave a comment in the chat. We're, as you can see, we're throwing up the comments as we go along. We'll pick up anything we say and we can continue with the comments. And of course, hit the thumbs up as well. But before we continue, name your starting 11. Get your starting 11 in the comment section, and we'll start to go through who we think will potentially start. Let's bring up the team that we fielded against Sheffield United, mate. And we'll start to go through the team. So we're hearing that obviously we know there's probably not going to be any changes to the back line. Do you think, however, that Moyes will change the formation or stick with the same formation?
I think he'll stick with it. Because that's pretty similar to what Tottenham like. It's weird because I know we just put up the picture from their last game. Sorry, I think the Man City game, they played 4 at the back. Whereas they do like rotating between a back 3. So we say back 5 and a back 4. So I think we control the game better with 5 at the back, especially against a team that's going to have Bale and Son in it.
Yeah.
So for me, I think he'll stick with the back 5.
But to add matters, the case to why you stay in this position is you've got a threat down the left-hand wing with Johnson. You've got a threat down the right-hand wing with Soufal. They both drop back. They can push forward. You've got the Cameron element of Dawson in the middle of the 3, Diop and Creswell. This is definitely going to be a huge game for Diop in it, because one of the games was it last season against Spurs at the London Stadium where Diop got subbed off at half-time. Was that last season? And Declan Rice had to step back in. He had a terrible game, but this is a game for him to kind of make amends for that and step up to the plate, mate. And that's exactly what we need him to do. But I take it realistically, we're looking at that Johnson, Rice, Souček, Soufal, Diop, Dawson, Creswell, Fabianski. I mean, that's literally going to be what we're looking at tomorrow, isn't it?
But I'd say that back 7, back 8, yeah. I'm 99% confident that back 5 and midfield 2 will be the same.
Yeah. Now, 2 particular players I want to discuss before we move onto the front 3 in particular. And, people there are saying Fredericks for Diop as well. I mean, we're not even talking about Fredericks, and he's coming off the bench. He's got a goal against Sheffield United. He offers a threat. However, you've got 2 men here that didn't start the last game. Benrahma, who's been in training this week, and Fornals. And, normally I would be saying Fornals for this game would be the perfect game. You want him to cover ground, come back, track back, spark up a bit of a partnership. But when it comes to the front 3, Matt, I have no questions in it that Lanzini will not be playing tomorrow. Do you think that we should be confident with that decision, or do you genuinely think Moyes will stick by his man because he's got a history of doing it with Lanzini?
No, he had his chance and he failed spectacularly.
Yeah,
I think Benrahma had been in form, but we always said Moyes has his favourites, and a bit like Toby just said about Bale. They've got no one in form on the right wing, so the fact that Bale's had maybe 2 halves of a good game the last 2 games, he'll probably start there because he's like the most informed one. Like the game against Sheffield United, they're the worst team in the league. I can say that because they're physically bottom. They are the worst team in the league currently. And Moyes went, you know what, I need to get... it's almost like when we have pre-season, you're supposed to play a rubbish team as a confidence booster for the season. You're supposed to go ship a load of goals past them. He put Lanzini in against the worst team in the league and was like, yeah, that'll give Lanzini a go play well, get a goal and assist and give him a confidence boost. And he didn't. If he can't do it against Sheffield United, he's not going to do it against Tottenham. Yes, he scored that wonder goal coming off the bench, but that's probably going to be the best goal of his career. That would probably go down as the best goal of his career.
Yeah.
He's not Steven Gerrard. He doesn't do that on the regular, does he?
I want to go back to this comment from Garino. Expect to see Fredericks on the right to help double up on Son, just like we did against Grealish. Makes a valid point, mate. But then, to whose detriment does that mean that? What do we lose Lanzini and put Fredericks? It's Fredericks, Lingard, and Lanzini and Bowen up top, and dropping Fredericks out to the right hand side. I don't know because
if Fredericks came in, that would be a change of shape. They go back to a back 4. Like they did against Villa, and the back 4 with Fredericks in front of Soufal.
Yeah.
But I can't see him changing back to a back 5. I think it's an option, and I think it's an option that he'll keep available if we do struggle at the start, that he could bring someone in for him.
Let's have a look at that team when skies are grey. Fabianski, Soufal, Dawson, Diop, Creswell, Rice, Souček, Fornals, Lingard, Bowen and Benrahma. So who's he dropped out for that? Johnson. So you're going for a back 4. Which I can't see when skies are grey, to be honest. I can't see that because I think they've got attacking threats down each of the wings, and I think we need to give what are you going to say, Matt?
That team, only way I could see that team is it wouldn't be... Was it Fornals? I think you'd have that team, it'd be Fredericks instead of Fornals.
Yeah.
And you go for a flat 4-4-2.
Yeah.
With like Benrahma on the left and Fredericks on the right.
Yep.
And then Lingard and Bowen up front.
There's comments coming in. People are saying put Diop out. I can't see it, Gary. I really can't. And I think that he had a decent game. He didn't have his best game, but he had a decent game. He got a goal against Sheffield United. And to be honest, mate, we need all our centre halves firing on all cylinders. So I genuinely, I can't see how Diop will be dropped. And if we can get a Diop in form, which we have saw in his first season when he was on form with Balbuena, then that's always going to benefit West Ham. But the thing, the main man at the back there, Matt, no questions about it, mate, it's Craig Dawson.
It's mental, isn't it? I said this last week that he's now like, him and Oggy become like the prime centre backs, and he's a guy that you can't take off the team sheet now. If you talk about dropping the defender, then it's not going to be Dawson, which is mental. Yeah,
but listen, when it comes to up front, Antonio's not going to start, mate, and I'm pretty adamant, and you're pretty adamant, and I think most people are pretty adamant. I do think he'll be on the bench. And I don't know if we'll see him, but I personally believe he'll be on the bench. But without Antonio, have we got enough in the tank with Lingard and Bowen up top? I mean, talk to me about Lingard, mate. And do you think he'll be be up for this game, buzzing for this game tomorrow?
Lingard's I would say he's a big game player. He's come from Man United. This is their big games. They love the history of Man United. And like I said, when he came in, don't forget he's playing for his place somewhere, whether it's a Man United team or somewhere else. But he's also still currently playing for an England spot in the summer. That was probably one of the biggest things for him about coming to West Ham, was that he's got to play himself back into the team. And we've seen what he can do. To play teams that like playing against people that have got movement and pace. And he has both of them. Defenders don't like it. Defenders don't like people running at them. And, we've been saying we need a ball carrier, and that's something he's done really well. He drops between the lines, he picks up the ball, he runs at players. They'll be busy. I mean, they're different threats to an Antonio. Antonio will try and bully a defender. Bowen, Lingard, and whoever's with them, it's going to be an interchange of passing, cutting between the lines, rotating positions. It's going to just be equally as difficult to defend against.
Yeah. Absolutely, mate. Get your predictions in. Let us know your predictions for tomorrow's game, which is at midday, a midday kickoff. We will be coming to you live. I think we're starting the stream about 10:45 a.m. tomorrow, so be prepared to check in. We don't think we'll be starting the stream with Stell, because Stell will still be sleeping. So it probably will be myself and Matt, but we'll keep up to date and let you know. But get your predictions in the chat, and we'll go through some of the predictions. Takes us to that time, Matt. The predictions for the game tomorrow. So like I said, if you are watching, do me a favour, go in and have a look at subscribe to the channel, the YouTube, go to YouTube, type in West Ham and United, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification. You can see the man behind the chat has been triggered, and he's snapped onto that fishing rod, and he's biting and he's trying to get it, and me and Matt are just going like, come on, just a little bit more. And he's biting. We'll just look at him in the background. He's got a little cheeky smile on the go. But Matt, come on. Midday kickoff, West Ham predictions.
I said on Jake's show, I think it's going to be 1-0. I think it's going to be a tight game. I mean, I say it's going to be a tight game, and it could be like another 3-2. But Spurs aren't in form. We did put 3+ if you like, but we're not. We're winning. We're not been playing well. Both are pragmatic defence-first managers. So for me, he's got like a 1-0 written all over it, which probably means he's going to finish like 3-3 again. But I've put my head on the plate. I've said 1-0.
I'm going to go with. Are you ready for this one? Because I've been quite reserved as of late. I mean, I don't predict West Ham losses. However, I've been pretty reserved. But I just see goals in this game tomorrow. I really do. I think that Kane and Son, no ifs or buts about it, they are a threat, mate. They really, really are. Bale will always be a threat, whether he's on form or not, just because he's shown up against West Ham in the past. But I think that, I don't doubt for a second that West Ham turn up to London derbies, and I think both teams will be up for it. I think people were saying West Ham are the favourites going into this game, 6 points ahead against Tottenham, but I don't look at any of that sort of stuff. I just look at the form and what David Moyes is doing at the club, and I've got to be really confident going into. I'm confident going into the game. I'm reserved about my confidence, but I am confident going into the game, and I think that we will come away 3-2 victors. I think we'll concede. I think we'll concede more than we've conceded as of late. But I think we're capability of getting goals, and I think that's really down to the Lingard threat. And I think this will be a really, really exciting game for the likes of Bowen, because it will be potentially a second game playing in that position. And if you've got the likes of Benrahma carving up that defence, that's the plan. Lingard pushes West Ham forward, and we create those less gaps between the midfield and the strikers, and that's going to be the difference between the game tomorrow than what we turned up against Tottenham earlier in the season, because I think we did turn up for the point, and I don't think we'll be doing that tomorrow. I really hope we don't. When we look at the stats between the two clubs, Tottenham have played 23 matches, won 10, drew 7, scored 36 and conceded 25, with 7 clean sheets in comparison to West Ham's played 24, won 12, so 2 more than Tottenham, lost 6, 1 less than Tottenham. Scored 37, 1 more than Tottenham, and conceded 28, 3 more than Tottenham. But we've got 9 clean sheets, 2 more than Tottenham as well. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one. But Matt, who do you fear the most from Tottenham?
It's just obvious. It's Kane. I was talking to someone the other day about Tottenham mate at work, and I said I didn't realise his stats are actually ridiculous. Like, how are we still playing for that Tottenham team and not someone bigger than Tottenham? No disrespect, Tottenham. I'm talking like a Man City or a Real Madrid or something. His stats for Tottenham, he's played like 225 games. It's roughly, I can't remember the exact number.
Yeah.
But it was like 225 games, and he scored 150 goals. So he's like, he scores 3 goals every 4 games. The guy is a machine. And if they didn't have him, you'd think, where would they be? So it's Kane. Sorry, for me, it is.
Yeah,
he was rested. He was the guy that was rested as well. Like, I mean, you was asking about is he injured? Mourinho come out after the game and said that basically Kane went up to him and said, "Look, I'm feeling a bit leggy. I've been injured a lot recently. I don't think this is a game that I should be playing. I should be playing at the weekend." So he basically said to them, "Look, I'm not feeling it. I'm not playing." And they went to the medical team. The medical team went, "Yeah, all right then."
Yep.
When you're as good as him, you can pick and choose. And like they should have rested a lot more players in the Austrian game. But
a great comment. A great comment in there from Words and Pictures. Our biggest threat tomorrow is Moyes playing us defensively, and it's so true, mate. It's so true. You've hit the nail on the head with that one, WMP. So, my biggest fear tomorrow's Son. Actually, to be honest, I think he's such a threat. He kind of goes under. He does go under the radar ever so slightly to Kane, but the work rate he does, mate, the cutting inside, the getting forward, the tracking back. I mean, the lad's a machine, and he's very capable of scoring a goal against West Ham. The man they should fear the most from West Ham.
I'm going to go Lingard.
Same, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I think they're going to really struggle with him tomorrow night, mate. Or tomorrow during the day, I should say. I think, like I said earlier on, he will create havoc back there. And I think if their defence is struggling and their midfield, I don't know if I agree 100%. I don't agree with Toby with the midfield battle. I think on their day, Rice and Souček take over.
I think it's going to be a lot closer than he thinks.
Uh-huh.
But I would agree that Højbjerg has made a massive difference.
Oh yeah,
to that team. Like I was surprised in the summer when Southampton let him go, especially at the start of the season when Southampton were a lot higher than they were and were like, everyone was like, how are they doing it without him? But they have started to drop a bit recently.
I just have to leave that comment again. I'm sorry, mate. James Bong is saying for whatever reason, I'm somehow worried about Bale in this game. That's why I've gone for 4-1 at West Ham as opposed to 4-0. Come on, you Irons. And Foshizi is saying Spurs should fear the man machine, Matt Stato. 100%. Listen, thank you so much for joining us. That's been our preview. Please hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. Please check in with all our other shows. Tomorrow is I don't even know what day tomorrow is. Sunday. We have we're going live early doors, match day live. Make sure you join us. We'll get you some team news from the ITK. They know as Stel. We'll bring you some team news, and we'll then obviously go on to do the match day live. After that, we'll come with you with a review, and I think Stel's doing West Ham Weekly tomorrow night. He's back to his normal slot. He's tried and tested some other things. It's not worked out for him, so stick with him and see him on a Sunday night.
Got to finish writing his script. I haven't finished that yet.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Listen, I said it was going to be short, but it's not. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you join us tomorrow. Hit the subscribe button, all that malarkey. He's been Matt. I've been Anton. And come on, you Irons. Come on, you Irons.